People are buying up large amounts of face masks with the intention to price gouge. These people need to be reported to the government. So I said people are buying up large amounts of face masks. So when you buy up a lot of something, you buy up a huge amount. So if one company would like to take over another company, it would buy up a large amount of stock. I went to the supermarket today and everyone looks like they're buying up large amounts of cereal. So it's all the cereal's gone. And then I said, with the intention to price gouge. Now, to price gouge is when you sell something for way above its value, especially in a time of emergency. So in the United States, whenever there's a hurricane, people will stockpile or keep bottles of water, gasoline, and canned food. And then they will sell that bottle of water that usually sells for $1. They'll sell it for $10. That's called price gouging. So when something is needed or wanted and sold for very, very high value, it's called price gouging. And it has been regulated in the past, especially in times of emergency. Face masks are being hoarded by those with ill intent. There should be serious consequences for those who do this. So we talked about face masks. Other people talk about surgical masks. Most of the face masks are not surgical masks. Surgical masks are something that you need during surgery that medical professionals wear, and a face mask is just something to cover your face, and it doesn't really have a medical use for it. But they're being hoarded. So to hoard something is to keep a lot of something, and then you keep it and you hold on to it. So it usually applies something negative. So for example, you might have a mom, a grandma, an aunt, someone who just keeps everything and never throws anything out. And hoarding can also be a disease. For example, people who collect old newspapers and never throw them out. It's kind of a psychological problem. So we call them hoarders. And then I said they're being hoarded by those with ill intent. So they're keeping all these items, and ill intent means they want to do something bad with it. They're not going to do something good. So they will go keep it and then sell them at a later date for a higher price. So that's ill intent. So their intentions are bad. The global hysteria is causing panic that the virus will spread like the plague. So hysteria is kind of a general feeling of fear and anxiety. So, I mean, the coronavirus, the mortality rate is quite low, lower than most flus and lower than any other pandemic we've seen, but people are going crazy over it. So it's causing what we call hysteria. So the opposite would be to kind of keep calm and not go insane about something that's not that important. And then the virus will spread like the plague. So spread like the plague means very quickly. So we talk about it's the Black Plague during the Middle Ages in Europe that killed 30% of the population. So we use this expression today, spread like the plague means it spreads quickly, but it doesn't have to be a disease. For example, you work in an office and you suspect a man and a woman have been dating. And everyone thinks that they're dating, but they keep denying it and denying it. Then one day, someone from the office sees them on a date, and then that piece of gossip will spread like the plague. People will start texting each other, talking at the water cooler, and then the next day, everyone in the company knows. So it could be like a piece of information, a feeling, or a disease that spreads like the plague. There is a concern that the coronavirus will turn into a global epidemic. So before SJ said pandemic is a wider epidemic. Epidemics usually tend to be in a smaller area, but I've also seen the expression global epidemic. I think pandemic is a better word when talking about globally, but the WHO uses the word global epidemic. So you can use both, but pandemic's a better choice. Social functions and events where people gather are being put on hold. The service industry is suffering because of this. So I said social functions. So a social function is anything outside of work. So that could be a lunch, having coffee with your friend, going to a party, after work dinner, huishik. It can even be playing golf with someone or playing soccer with people. It can be anything. So anything not working is like social, or what do you do socially? It mostly means outside of work that you do with people from work, friends or family. And also I said events where people gather, so such as church, that is a big gathering of people. So we describe a gathering or where people gather, like a baseball stadium would be a huge place to gather, a concert or a church. And then I said all these events are being put on hold. So for example, I work for some big international companies, and they are putting all meetings on hold from external visitors. So no one should visit their office. Even if they're doing business with them, they cannot come into the office. So that is being put on hold until March. So that means it will start again in March. And I finally said the service industry is suffering because of this. When we talk about the service industry, that is anything to do with restaurants, coffee shops, cafes, hotels, or any sort of like hospitality. But service is mostly bars, restaurant, cafes. But for example, if the bar has a food vendor, that's also service industry. Or if someone is coming to clean the coffee shop, that is part of the service industry. So the entire service industry is suffering because of this. Restaurants, bars, cafes, and other areas where people congregate have suffered heavy losses. The new normal of not going out and avoiding physical contact is hurting the economy. So I said restaurant, bars, and cafes and other areas where people congregate. Congregate is to gather. So again, at church, people gather together, they congregate. Or, if you see people smoking outside of an office, that's where people congregate. And I said the new normal of not going out. So the new normal is an expression we use when things change dramatically. For example, after 9/11, the security at airports changed a lot. We have to budget an extra 30 to 40 minutes just to get through security. But that's the new normal. Before, air travel was relatively safe, but now we have to worry about terrorism. So the new normal is we've got to budget that extra time to go to the airport and go through security so we can be safe. There has been a sharp increase of countries preventing Korean citizens from entering their borders. Koreans are also being singled out to be quarantined. So to be singled out means to pick a certain group or based on, it could be race, religion, background. It's kind of another way to say discriminated against. So for example, the coronavirus case, I know, in Israel, they are singling out Koreans and Japanese, but they haven't really singled out Italians entering the country yet. Even though there's 400 cases in Italy, Israel, as of today, has not announced a travel ban. So they're singling out people from Asian countries. There are increased entry bans for Koreans. Medical quarantines are also on the rise. There are increased entry bans for Koreans. So an entry ban, when a country has an entry ban, they're preventing someone from some country who cannot come in, or someone who's traveled to another country. So for example, I'm an American, and if I travel to another country coming from Korea, there's an entry ban from anyone who's been in Korea. So it doesn't necessarily mean if you're Korean, it just means if you came through here, lived here, or traveled through here. And I said medical quarantines are also on the rise. So a quarantine is when you isolate someone or even sometimes something from entering a place or another country. So if you have a disease, you'll be quarantined in a medical facility. Animals can also be quarantined as well and check for diseases. Also, for example, if a country imports fruits and they find a bug or some kind of foreign insect, that fruit will be quarantined. But mostly it's used for people. Scientists claim that even the flu season is coming to an end, we need to remain vigilant when it comes to our health. So I said flu season. So flu season is defined from the time from December to March. And the worst of the flu season is February. So the scientists say it's coming to an end. So it should end soon. But I said we need to remain vigilant. So to remain vigilant means to be on alert, to be aware, to be disciplined. Don't let your guard down. Don't get lazy. It means like, for example, with this would be, to keep your immune system healthy. Get sleep, eat right, don't smoke, don't drink too much alcohol, keep hydrated. You want to stay healthy until this virus ends. That's remaining vigilant. Also, for example, if you lived in an area with a lot of crime, you would need to turn on your outside lights, lock your doors, make sure that you have emergency numbers ready. That's remaining vigilant. So it's kind of aware, or almost what we call hyper awareness. We need to focus on keeping our immune system healthy, even though scientists claim that this flu season is coming to an end. So I said you need to keep our immune systems healthy. So your immune system is kind of the combination of your production of white blood cells and even your digestion and your overall health. So again, it's kind of a combination of sleep, healthy foods, avoiding sugars, alcohol, and tobacco, again, sleep, multivitamins, zinc, doing all these things will help your immune system to stay strong. So if you get the coronavirus, your body can fight it and you'll be fine. Thanks, guys, for downloading. And you guys can shoot me an email at feurey@gmail.com. And I hope to talk to you guys soon. Bye-bye.